Hey, how's it going everyone? It is Myro Gaming, and I'm here with my first ever WoW PvP guide. And this is going to be dealing with a Holy Paladin in 2v2 Arena for the pre-patch of Shadowlands. Some of the things you will be seeing in this guide are going to be the overview of the changes to the Holy Paladin, some of the talents, Azerite traits, PvP talents, add-ons, and positioning that I think will be able to improve your gameplay and overall increase your arena rating to the next level. So we will get started with the first major change, which is going to be Holy Power that has been added back to our class. If you're wondering what Holy Power is or how to generate it, I'm going to be going over that right now. So currently there are 3 ways to generate your Holy Power. You have your Holy Shock, which can be used defensively or offensively. So you can either use it to do damage to a enemy player, and that will generate 1 Holy Power. Or you can use it on yourself. For instance, I use it myself, it generates 1 Holy Power. Another thing you can use is Bestowed Faith, but that's actually something you have to be talented into. And one thing you have to look out for is it doesn't generate your Holy Power right away. You know, it's up there. It will not give you your Holy Power until it's done with its duration of 5 seconds, and it will generate that 1 Holy Power. And your third and final way to generate Holy Power is going to be through the usage of your Crusader Strike when you're in melee range. And now you may be wondering, okay, you know, I have all of this Holy Power. What am I supposed to use it on? So there are only 2 things you can really use your Holy Power on, and I think one of them isn't very beneficial, which will be your Light of Dawn, which costs 3 Holy Power. And one of the major things I believe you should be using your Holy Power on is going to be through your Word of Glory, which is a new ability they've added back into the game, which also costs 3 Holy Power. So, you know, your teammates getting trained, or you're getting trained and you're in a pinch, you have 3 Holy Power, you can just hit an instant cast heal for that. Mine was 2900. That's a pretty decent heal. Alright, from there we will jump straight into the talents I think that are good. Alright, so the main talent that I'm running in 2's right now is Bestowed Faith. I think it's a pretty good talent. It's mana efficient, it generates 1 Holy Power. I know some people do like using Crusader's Might. I use it every once in a while, depending on what comp I'm up against. If I know I'm going to be getting trained by like a melee class or something along those lines, I may change out Bestowed Faith for Crusader's Might to be able to generate more Crusader Strikes, Holy Shocks, to just be able to generate more Holy Power and be able to get off more Ward of Glories. So I think either of these have some usage. I've never used Light's Hammer. From my understanding, it's not a very good ability. You know, it hurls a lightning-infused hammer to the ground, dealing 166 holy damage to nearby enemies and healing up to 6 nearby allies for 202 every 2 seconds for 14 seconds. So in 2v2, I don't really think that has any real good usage. But, you know, if you want to give it a shot and leave a comment, you know, saying it's working for you, just let me know. So for the 25 level talent that I've been using is Saved by the Light, and it is a passive. So you know, whenever you have your beacon on yourself or your teammate, when they drop below 30%, they get an automatic absorb, which can only happen once every minute, but still, it's like kind of like a crutch similar to I don't know if I have the trinket anymore. Oh yeah, it's similar to the Safeguard. Just gives you a nice little absorb, just to, you know, give you a chance to recover. The other 2 I haven't used very often at all. I think Saved by the Light's pretty good. So let's talk about the level 30 talents, and I think all of them have a pretty good usage in 2v2 Arena and just Arena in general. So one of the things you're going to notice is there's actually a change to the Fist of Justice talent, which before it used to change every time you use Judgment, it would reduce your cooldown of Hammer of Justice by 10 seconds. But now they changed it for each Holy Power spent. It reduces the remaining cooldown on your Hammer of Justice by 2 seconds. So if you're efficient with generating your Holy Power and using your Holy Power, you will get your Hammer of Justice back a lot faster, and I think that's extremely beneficial in 2v2 Arena to be able to get off, you know, your 5-second stun, or 6 seconds stun, I believe. 6 seconds, sorry. Repentance, I think, is good against certain classes. If I'm playing against another Holy Paladin, I will typically use Repentance because I'm able to, you know, line it up with a pretty much a longer CC chain. Similar with Blinding Light. Blinding Light, I think, also has its play. I use this typically against Druids to be able to, you know, hammer them and then get them into a Blinding Light. I wouldn't use Repentance against a druid just because it's so difficult to be able to actually land the rep after you stun them, unless you stun them out of form, which is not likely in the higher ratings. So let's jump to the level 35 talents. Right now I'm using what people would consider like more of a newbie talent. I like the 2 Divine Steeds because that gives you 2 charges to be able to get away. I think Unbreakable Spirit is actually the better talent, so I need to just get over not having 2 charges and get used to having 1, because there's been so many times where, you know, the games go on forever, and, you know, it'd be so much, I think I'd get so much more use out of having the reduced cooldown of 30% on my Divine Protection and my Divine Shield, and just overall a better talent. Just don't be like me and use the Unbreakable Spirit unless you know you're going to have troubles getting away from, you know, a team. Then you may want to use the 2 charges of your Steed. But overall, Unbreakable Spirit is the choice. I just need to get over myself and get used to just using that, because there's been so many times where I just wish I was running Unbreakable Spirit. Alright, let's talk about the level 40 talents. So we're going to have 2 main talents you're going to be deciding upon. You're going to be either using Holy Avenger or Divine Purpose. And actually both of those have had reworks for the pre-patch for Shadowlands. So let's go over Divine Purpose first. So now your Holy Power abilities have a 15% chance to make your next Holy Power ability free and deal 20% increased damage and healing. So what that means is when you have your 3 Holy Power and you're using your Holy Power abilities, which would be either Light of Dawn or Ward of Glory, there's a 15% chance that your next cast is going to be instant. So you might get back-to-back Ward of Glory procs, and even a third one if you're lucky enough. You know, you get that 15, 15, and 15, and just get lucky and get 3 back-to-back. It can get you some pretty good healing passively throughout your game. Another one people have been using, I don't typically use it, I just threw it on just to, you know, test it, but it is very useful as well. It makes it so your Holy Power generation is tripled for 20 seconds. So for every Holy Power ability you use, you'll be able to use Word of Glory practically instantly. For instance, every Holy Shock you use will generate 3 Holy Power, so you'll be able to use Word of Glory instantly. Same thing for your Crusader Strikes and your Bestowed Faith. But again, you have to look out for, you know, the 5 seconds it takes for that to actually come off to give you the Holy Power. But it is very powerful in 2's, where you'll be able to bring up you and your teammate practically in any situation. So I think it has its pretty good uses. I've been just using Divine Purpose passively. It seems pretty good overall. Alright, let's jump into our level 45 talents. So we have Sanctified Wrath, Avenging Crusader, or Awakening. I don't think Awakening gets a whole lot of play at all in Arena. I've been mainly using either Avenging Crusader or Sanctified Wrath, and I've seen a good usage out of Sanctified Wrath, just because being able to have Avenging Wrath for 25% longer is huge, because I think we all know or may know that Holy Paladins have always been a really cooldown-oriented class, so being able to have that 25% longer on your Avenging Wrath is huge. And also the cooldown reduction on your Holy Shock by 40%, you know, adds a lot of value throughout the game, because you'll be able to get off more Holy Shocks, to be able to generate more Holy Power, and to get off more Ward of Glories, which increases your healing by quite a bit. So I've been mainly using Sanctified Wrath. I've used Avenging Crusader a few times, but overall I see myself choosing Sanctified Wrath just more and more. For the 50 bracket, all of them have some pretty good usages. I've mainly been either using Beacon of Faith or Glimmer of Light. Glimmer of Light used to be an Azurite trait. Now it can be decided throughout talents. So I've been sticking to it. You know, every person that has Glimmer of Light will be benefit every time you use Holy Shock, either offensively or defensively, and also heal them. So I've been sticking with Glimmer of Light. So let's just jump into the PvP talents. So the main PvP talents I will be using are Ultimate Sacrifice, Light's Grace, and Avenging Light. Ultimate Sac is, you know, you absorb 100% of the damage to your teammate, and that's a huge, you know, saving card. If you're in a long CC chain, your teammate's getting just destroyed, he's down to 10%, and you need something, and you need something fast. You just pop Ultimate Sac, and 100% of the damage is converted to you. Light's Grace has always been a pretty good choice, just because, you know, increases your holy light by 50%, and it reduces the damage on whoever you're healing by 5% every time it stacks. Every time you cast it on them for 8 seconds, up to 3 stacks. So a total of 15% reduced damage. Typically for my third talent, I always choose Blessed Hands. Just I would say always, depending on what we're facing. Blessed Hands seems pretty good. An extra bop, an extra freedom can help you a lot against melee cleaves or any type of melee class where you know that bop helps out a lot and the extra mobility through the freedom. Alright, there are a few more things I want to talk about really quick. One major thing is the changes to the Infusion of Light proc. The Infusion of Light proc used to make us have super fast Holy Lights, which were awesome. But that has now changed to either reduce the mana cost of Flash of Light by 30% or increase the healing of our Holy Light by 30%. Just keep that in mind when that proc goes off. You're no longer going to have super fast Holy Lights. Another change, they brought back Turn Evil, which can be used against undead, aberrations, or demons. So you can use it against, say, a DK Abomination. You can fear it away, or against a Warlock, Counterspell Pet to fear it away if you can plan it well, because it is a 1.4 second cast time. Another major change, I actually wouldn't say major, would be your they brought back Hammer of Wrath, which is pretty much like an execute at 20%. I remember back in the day, like, freaking out someone to get below 20%, screaming Hammer of Wrath, trying to get that ability off and getting that kill in. I think it's pretty nice to have that back. Alright, so next thing I want to talk about are the Azurite traits that I'm running, and I think that are pretty useful, which were also useful last season. So as long as you have pretty much the same Azurite traits as last season, you should be fine. If you don't, it's really not that big of a deal, but you really want to be trying to run 3 Indomitable Justices just to have those larger judgments. I know there's some games where I lob a judgment and I do like a 6k crit, and that is huge when you only have 20k health. Like 6k, that's a big chunk. So next thing I want to talk about are some of the add-ons that I think are pretty useful. Would be either Omnibar or S-Arena, anything to be able to track the enemy frames and also keep track of their cooldowns. Because, like I said earlier, Holy Paladins are really cooldown oriented, so you don't want to be just using, your Avenging Wrath or your Blessed Sacrifice or, any of your big defensive or offensive cooldowns just out of the blue. You want to be paying attention to, when the enemy are, using their defensive cooldowns, for instance, like Vendetta and when a rogue, you can trade Avenging Wrath for that to, live through that, or an Abomination. Typically during a DK, when they're using Abomination, you want to either kite it, so sometimes you want to trade your Avenging Wrath for that, so if you can't get away. So beyond that, I really don't have too many add-ons. I use Bartender just to kind of keep it nice and neat, and I hide some of my abilities. Anything that doesn't have a cooldown, I just hide that. For instance, Concentration, it's hidden, it's on my bars. That's it for add-ons. I don't think you really need too many add-ons. Alright, so the last thing I want to mention is going to be your positioning in Arena, which is huge. So essentially you want to position yourself in an area where you can get the most effective healing and also avoid as much crowd control as possible. So let's just pretend this catapult is a giant pillar and I'm line of sighting the enemy team. And say this first pillar is my teammate, and that is, say, the enemy mage. I'm going to be coming in and out using my instant cast heals on my partner, keeping them as live as long as possible. But again, those heals alone will not be enough to keep my teammate alive. There's going to be times where you have to use your castable heals, for instance, your Holy Light or Flash of Light. But while you're doing so, make sure you're, practicing your juking, like you're trying to bait their interrupt. You don't want to just hard cast in front of them because you're going to get interrupted 99% of the time. At any higher rating, they're not going to allow you to just get off a free heal if they have an interrupt available. So you practicing your positioning and your ability to bait their interrupts will change your gameplay by quite a bit. If you get interrupted at the wrong time, that could be the difference between winning and losing. And that's it to my guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was pretty quick, but this is my first guide. I wanted to really get it out there. I'm excited for everyone to see it. And again, I'm also open for any advice from anyone else. There might be people that are a lot more advanced than me that are just watching this guide out of curiosity. If you have any tips or tricks that can help my gameplay, just please post them below in the comment section. I'm open for anything to help improve my gameplay, and I hope you guys have a nice day.